think about non-human animals as more than a something and actually as a someone?
Yeah, it's really good that a new generation of starting to find these rights-based animal rights points. Of course, Joey gets all this from this thing about not something, somebody's, or someone, and that kind of stuff. He gets all that from Tom Reagan. Tom Reagan wrote this, 83, The Case for Animal Rights, a groundbreaking text. I tend to recommend Reagan's Defending Animal Rights because it's easier to read, and so is this one, Animal Rights, Human Wrongs, which has got a lot of the case in this, but it's easier to read, it's shorter, and just easier to digest, if you like. Now, um, Joey doesn't credit Reagan, which I think is something that I think there's something that the influencers can improve on, really, because there's nothing that the influencers say that is new, and so they ought to credit. I'm speaking like an academic here, but they ought to give credit from where they're getting this stuff. Not least because it adds to the depth of the movement, because people can then chase the sources, if you were, as I'm kind of recommending, in a way. Now, Reagan, one of the best things Reagan ever did was there is a quintessential animal rights statement, which essentially is the opening statement that he made in a 1989 debate he did on the BBC in England. It was watched by 1 million people, and it was really brilliant. And Reagan's team also won the debate on the night as well, which is pretty good. There's also a 1988 speech, which is still regarded as the best animal rights speech ever by Reagan. So Reagan offers our movement a lot. So it is good that it is being rediscovered, if that's what this kind of means. In terms of that speech I mentioned, he did say this. He says, like us, other animals bring a unified psychological presence to the world. Like us, they are some bodies, not some things. In these fundamental ways, non-human animals in labs and on farms, for example, are the same as human beings. And so it is that the ethics of our dealings with them and with one another must rest on some of the same fundamental moral principles. That's it's important because Reagan talked about fundamentals all the time. The fundamental problem is rights violations, not cruelty, for example, and this kind of stuff. And so when you hear Reagan talking, he gets straight to the heart of the problem, doesn't mess around with the peripheries, which, sadly, a lot of kind of modern day activism does that. Whereas, we really want to get to the heart of our position, which is that other animals are rights bearers and that what humans do to them are rights violations. It's not the RSPCA kind of stuff that often gets thrown around. The fundamental is the important. The fundamental wrong, as Reagan always put it, is rights violations. Not these kind of other things. But it is good that that Reagan is inspiring some of the stuff that is coming out from the influencers. As I said, I think they should credit him, but it's good that it's out there anyway.